Just tell me what's happening with your banana.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, March 1st, 2020. This is your award-winning Gimmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1221.
This is No Agenda.
Unstuck in time and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where Joe Biden's back. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
I got to hand it to you. I had if you had said to me Joe Biden would win South Carolina with 50%, no. You were absolutely right about this.
Yeah.
However, I did learn something about the primary elections in South Carolina. I learned something which I didn't realize. Let me see. I have a note here from one of our producers. Apparently, you do not have to declare or reveal your party on the ballot when you vote. You can only vote for one candidate in the primary. So from what I understand, a lot of people who would normally vote for Trump, since, there's kind of like no contest for him on the Republican side, went in and voted for Joe Biden.
Why would they not vote for Bernie?
I have no idea. I'm just telling you what I've heard.
I'm guessing. I know you can do this cross-ballot stuff in many states.
I didn't know that. I had no idea. I thought that if only registered Democrats can vote in the Democratic primary. I didn't know that.
In California, for example, if you're a registered Democrat, you can't do that. But independents can vote Democrat if they want. The Republican Party in California, for example, says no. You have to be. You can't do it. You can't come over here and vote with us unless you're Republican. But the other states, it's just like it is in South Carolina. So the way I saw it, in terms of it swinging the election towards Sleepy Joe, was I thought it would. If you were a Republican pulling that stunt, which is not uncommon, I think it would spread out a little bit more. I think Bernie gets some. I think Bloomberg would get some, or get a write-in. I don't know. I just don't think that the Republicans would be going all in for Biden. Although,
no, I think they were doing that
to me. He is the funniest guy.
What I understood is they were doing it to mess with Bernie by voting for Biden. That's what I understood.
Yeah, well, I never heard. Yeah, that would have to be a concerted effort, and I got no wind of that.
Oh no, I got a couple tweets about it, but that doesn't mean anything.
Well, maybe.
Doesn't
it's
really
possible.
mean anything happened. Now,
I think you would have beat him anyway, but
yeah. Well, good. I'm glad Joe. I'm glad Joe is still in the race. However, this is perhaps one of the saddest couple of days he's had. Kurt Vonnegut wrote Slaughterhouse-Five, and in that he introduced the concept of unstuck in time, referring to a person living from one moment in life to another instead of day to day like most people do. And I think Joe is witnessing this in real time, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it happen with him. Everybody has programming. For instance, you can probably wake me up in the middle of the night, and I can do the intro to the show verbatim. I'll still say Thursday, even if it's a Sunday. But it's a program. You can run it off. There's other things. Like, hey, everybody, it's Adam Curry. Top 40, that's right, Z100. You can do these things. And Joe has done things about running for Senate, and just the Senate is somehow in his mind. I guess that was the only time he actually, he's never won a presidential race, so he has won senatorial races, and maybe that's what's stuck in his head. But I just got a couple examples that are just really bothersome.
Well, I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate.
I think he means Supreme Court, but there it is. He's going to nominate someone to the Senate. Now, we know that's not the way it works. Here's another unstuck in time moment.
Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president of the United States, South Carolina.
The next, what is... I just, if this were anyone else except the person that the establishment of the Democratic Party really needs for, whatever their strategy is, it would be ridiculed across the board. Now it's only us. No one else is ridiculing the fact that he's just not 100% on board. I don't want my president.
Well, if it was Trump, it'd be checked on the checklist as a lie.
Oh, man. Yeah, we'll get to coronavirus and the lies in a bit. I do have another kind of odd example of Biden. Yeah, he's talking about China.
I got a couple Bidens, too, for you.
Now, I'll throw this one out, then we'll switch over.
And here's the last point. If you take a look at it, China's now going to... China, and I'm not happy about this, China doesn't have enough water, W-A-T-E-R. They're talking about spending hundreds of billions of dollars to try to turn around the rivers so their population have potable water to drink. 40% of their land is polluted with cadmium. They can't grow things. They're in a situation where they have 2 million Uyghurs, Muslims, in prison camps in the mountains. You see what's happening in Hong Kong, and now what they're trying to do with regard to Thailand. Folks, the idea that they are our competition, they're going to beat us, is bizarre.
Wow, Joe.
Wow,
Joe. And it's water, W-A-T-E-R. Why did he spell what possibly could I confuse water with? Or is he just doing it's like kind of like a rap?
I hate to tell you this, but I'm giving you a borderline clip of the day for that find.
Like a hip-hop guy.
I have not heard that.
I'm Joe to the B, got my W-A-T-E-R, water. I don't know what he's doing.
What's he talking about?
I don't know, but I really feel uncomfortable about it. I mean, if you were making these mistakes, I wouldn't make fun of you. No, wait, I would. What am I talking about?
You better.
It's just, I don't know. What you got on Joe?
Well, let's see what we got. I got a bunch of, I think there was a Joe clip here. I tried to bite in. Now, this is probably not I don't think I have I thought I had a Joe clip that fell in. I think I had yours, but let's listen to some Biden analysis. This is the Biden win is a reset on CBSN.
I want to start with you. The grin on your face could not be wider. Tell me what you're thinking right now.
Well, there are a couple of things I said from the very beginning of this process. South Carolina will be the place that will set the tone and temperature for this race. I think everyone can agree with that now because of the participation from the most loyal constituency in the country, African-American voters. Number two, I said this. It was always Joe Biden's race to lose, and everyone else has been fighting for second place. And I also said this, loyal African-American voters are going to show up, and they're going to display their loyalty to Joe Biden because Joe Biden has been loyal to them. And lo and behold, Elaine, I think I'm right.
All right. So
humility is a good value.
I know. In other words, I told you so, right? Okay. So let me ask you, though, Antoine. So is that it? Is a win a win? Or as we get more numbers in, is that something, though, that in all seriousness, because we saw what happened in the other early states, people are going to be still examining pretty closely here?
There are several things to look at from Joe Biden's victory tonight. Number one, he's moved up to second place in the delegate count. So that means, and we all know this is a game of numbers. Delegates are important. That means he's behind now Bernie Sanders for number of delegates. Number two, I think he will end up having a very handsome victory tonight. And the strength of African-American voters is going to be important, setting a tone for those type of voters in Super Tuesday. And number three, I like to connect sports and politics together. The Golden State Warriors won their NBA championships. I don't remember, and I'm sure you do not remember either, the score, but all you know is they won the championship. So tonight, Joe Biden won his championship. This is the first time he's won a primary or a caucus. I think this is a reset moment for this campaign.
Oh, okay. Not quite sure I understand the analogy or the logic, but fine.
Well, I don't understand why he's talking about the Warriors.
The Warriors. How did that come into play?
But he did. This black guy, who's amenable. He did predict all this a couple of days ago.
And who was he?
He's a guy that's a CBS analyst. He does work for CBSN, and he is a Democrat strategist.
Well, there was a, excuse me, it was Friday or Saturday. The New York Times published a piece. Well, maybe that was just Thursday. I can't remember now. Where they interviewed, I think, 95 of the 500 superdelegates. And 93 of the 95 they spoke with said, oh, well, we're totally going to make sure that Joe Biden wins. Or I think what they were more specific about was make sure Bernie does not win in some version of a second round superdelegate come swooping in, or might call it contestant convention. And I thought that was pretty rude. Just for the process itself. I mean, that's the New York Times really mucking around in it.
I've taken all the New York Times stories nowadays as questionable.
It's comical. But what it does is it feeds into the machine. Here's a little supercuts of the media's response and how they talk about this particular article.
This is what people need to remember. The Democratic Party has a party. The party decides its nominee. The public doesn't really decide the nominee. The public gets to vote for President of the United States, but people who are active in the party, who participate in the party, they decide the nominee. And just because you're a pledged delegate for Bernie Sanders or a pledged delegate for Joe Biden doesn't mean when you get to the convention floor that you'll stay a delegate for Biden or Sanders.
93 Democratic Party officials are willing to have a brokered convention if Sanders does not receive the majority of delegates by convention time.
They're also willing to risk damaging the party to stop his nomination. The Times notes that such a situation may result in a brokered convention, a messy political battle, the likes of which Democrats have not seen since 1952, when the nominee was Adlai Stevenson.
I can't even imagine the rebellion among his supporters if he doesn't get the nomination.
There would be, but his supporters helped write those rules.
The way I see this is you write the rules before you know where everybody stands, and then you stick with those rules. Everybody got in the race thinking that was the set of rules. I don't see how come you get to change it just because he now thinks there's an advantage to him for doing that.
This is not a done deal, and so that's why I think we should